On December 5, 1872, a British crew spotted a ship sailing the open Atlantic with nobody aboard. Her sails were set. Her cargo was intact. 10 people had vanished and left 6 months of provisions neatly stowed behind them. The boarding party from the Gratia climbed aboard, expecting bodies, wreckage, some sign of catastrophe. They found almost nothing wrong. 3.5 feet of water sat in the hold. For a ship this size, that was not alarming. The galley equipment was stowed. The crew's clothes, boots, rain gear, and even their smoking pipes were still in place. But small things were wrong. The compass housing was smashed. The heavy galley stove had been knocked from its mountings. And the single lifeboat was gone. So were the chronometer, the sextant, and the ship's official papers. Whoever left took exactly what you take when you plan to navigate, and expect to come back alive. One strange clue lay abandoned on deck: a sounding rod, the tool used to measure water inside the hold. Remember that rod. 130 years later, it would become the key that unlocked everything. The ship's log told them her name: Mary Celeste. Its final entry was dated 10 days earlier. 10 days. She had sailed several hundred miles of open ocean alone, steering herself. And her story was already strange. She was born in 1861 at Spencer's Island, Nova Scotia, under a different name, the Amazon. Her early years brought a collision, a grounding, and a string of failed owners. Sailors whispered that she was unlucky. In 1868, new American owners renamed her Mary Celeste, a fresh name to bury a troubled past. On November 7, 1872, she left New York for Genoa, Italy, under Captain Benjamin Spooner Briggs. Briggs was 37, devout, experienced, and a part owner of the ship. He did not drink. He did not gamble. He trusted the Voyage so completely that he brought his wife Sarah and their 2-year-old daughter Sophia along. 7 hand-picked crewmen joined them, led by First Mate Albert Richardson. Every man carried a solid reputation. Below deck sat the cargo: 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol, bound for Italy. 9 of those barrels would later be found completely empty. Hold that detail. It matters more than anyone realized. For 2 weeks, the 282-ton brigantine fought heavy Atlantic weather toward the Azores Islands. The final log entry came at 5 in the morning, November 25, 6 miles from Santa Maria Island. Then, silence. 8 days behind her, another ship had left the American coast on almost the same route, the Gratia. After the discovery, her crew split in two and sailed both vessels 800 miles to Gibraltar to claim salvage. There, they walked into a nightmare. The Attorney General, Frederick Solly Flood, was convinced he was looking at murder. Flood's first theory: the crew broke into the alcohol, got drunk, slaughtered the captain and his family, then fled. It collapsed fast. The cargo was denatured alcohol, undrinkable and toxic. Any sailor who tried would be poisoned, not drunk. His second theory: the Gratia men murdered everyone aboard and staged the scene to collect the salvage money. Surveyors found stains on the deck and the captain's sword, and strange cuts on the bow that looked like axe marks. Testing proved the stains were not blood. The cuts told no story. Nothing of value was missing. No struggle, anywhere. After 3 months, the court found no evidence of foul play, released the ship, and a new crew sailed her to Genoa. But the salvagers received only about 1/6 of the $46,000 the ship and cargo were insured for. The court had quietly said what it could not prove: someone, somewhere, was lying. Then a novelist made everything worse. In 1884, a 25-year-old ship's surgeon published a wild fictional account of the mystery. His name was Arthur Conan Doyle, before Sherlock Holmes. He renamed the ship Mary Celeste and invented a killer aboard. In his tale, a vengeful passenger seizes the ship and murders everyone. Pure invention, printed in Cornhill magazine. Readers, and even some officials, mistook the fiction for a factual report. The legend now had a life of its own. In 1913, a magazine published a fake survivor's account, claiming everyone drowned watching a swimming contest from a collapsing platform. From there the theories multiplied. Sea monsters, waterspouts, mutiny, pirates, and eventually alien abduction. But each one breaks against the same wall of facts documented in Gibraltar in 1872. Pirates and mutineers steal. Nothing was stolen. Violence leaves marks. The ship carried none that mattered. Two German brothers, Volkert and Boy Lorenzen, drew suspicion because none of their possessions were found aboard. Decades later, a descendant explained it. The brothers had lost all their gear in a shipwreck earlier that same year. By elimination, only one scenario survived. Captain Briggs himself ordered everyone off a perfectly seaworthy ship. No sane captain does that without believing death is aboard. So what convinced him? The answer took until 2002. That year, documentary maker Anne McGregor reopened the case, using tools the Victorians never had. The original log vanished in 1885. But Solly Flood had transcribed its last 5 days, word for word. McGregor noticed those transcripts existed for a reason. Even Flood admitted nothing looked unusual until the Voyage's final 5 days. She teamed with Phil Richardson, an oceanographer at Woods Hole, to rebuild the ship's final track from those pages. They cross-checked every logged position against historical weather records. A pattern emerged that changed everything. Briggs should have sighted Santa Maria around November 22nd. He saw it 3 days late. His chronometer was faulty. The captain believed he was roughly 120 miles west of his true position. Now add the pump. One of the ship's pumps was found disassembled, clogged mid-repair, useless. The hold was packed so tight with barrels that Briggs could not see how much water was inside. That abandoned sounding rod on deck? Someone was desperately measuring the flooding and could not trust the answer. Picture it. A captain lost, half-blind below decks, fearing his ship was sinking, finally sighting land after weeks of storms. A cautious man might anchor near shore and check. But Briggs fled in minutes. Something else happened first. Remember the 9 empty barrels? They were built of red oak. Every other barrel aboard was white oak. Red oak is porous. It leaks. An estimated 300 gallons of raw alcohol had seeped into the hold. For years, skeptics dismissed the explosion theory, because the boarders found the main hatch still fastened and smelled no fumes. Then chemistry answered. In 2006, Andrea Sella of University College London built a replica hold and ignited the vapors. The result stunned him. A huge pressure wave and a rolling ball of flame that left no soot, no scorching, no damage. The flame front is followed by relatively cool air. It can terrify everyone aboard and leave the wood untouched. A catastrophic explosion, invisible afterward. Exactly matching a ship that looked untouched to the men who boarded her. Sella called it the most compelling explanation ever offered, the one that best fits every documented fact. Researchers at the University of Manchester later recreated the blast using the exact materials and climate conditions of the Voyage. And by 2025, historians had converged on a 3-part chain: leaking barrels, a cold flash of fire, failing pumps. Each piece alone was survivable. Together, on a lost ship in heavy seas, they formed a trap. Every reasonable choice Briggs could make now pointed the same direction, off the ship. So the evidence finally assembles: leaking barrels, a flash of fire, a lost position, a failed pump, land in sight. On the morning of November 25th, Briggs loaded 10 people into one small boat, expecting to return within hours. The plan was sound: stay tethered near the ship, wait for the danger to pass, then climb back aboard. But the wind rose, the line parted, or was never strong enough. The distance widened, foot by foot, forever. 10 people in an open boat watched their home sail away without them. No trace of any of them was ever found. The Mary Celeste sailed herself for 10 more days before the Gratia found her. 13 years later, her final owner deliberately wrecked her on a reef off Haiti for the insurance money. The sea kept her. She was never haunted, only abandoned by careful people whose reasonable choices turned fatal. If you want the cases where the evidence actually survived, subscribe. Every week, this channel puts one legend on trial. Next, the Franklin expedition, where the ice kept the evidence.